Today, Mohan asked an interesting question. He asked, "Will you explain me the true essence of all Saturn conjunctions in nutshell? I want to hear from you. So will you please?" I said, "Definitely. I will now share with you the essence of all Saturn conjunctions. Sit back and listen." The first conjunction, Saturn Rahu. Saturn is stress, Rahu is fear. And so Saturn Rahu definitely brings stress and fear. A person having this conjunction is always under stress, and it is fear that drives him and not love. Don't move the way fear makes you move. Move the way love makes you move. Move the way joy makes you move. The second conjunction, Saturn Mars. Saturn is stress, Mars is energy, the push. You are stressed because of too much pressure to push and make a way for yourself. The constant pressure of making or carving a way for yourself builds stress, which is Saturn. But still the energy, Mars, wants you to push, to dominate, to move the bulldozer over others so that you make your way. Saturn, Mars, woman or men understand only one word: dominate. And they just love to dominate others. You can't help. A lion is born to dominate. Remember, the world is a jungle. You either fight and dominate or hide and evaporate. The next conjunction, Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. The stress that is Saturn is on learning, Jupiter, and unlearning much. If you are a normal level soul, you want to learn a lot. And if you are an evolved soul, then you are trying to unlearn much so that space is created within your being for the real thing, the divine, the beyond. Saturn-Jupiter natives therefore have a certain depth of understanding, and often they come with certain gifts that they share with others so open-heartedly. An evolved soul having Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is perfectly aware that the more he shares the gifts, the more he receives. The more he would be blessed, because the Master loves those who continue to share without any reservations. The only way to express your gratitude towards your Guru and to free yourself from the benevolent Guru's debt is by sharing open-heartedly all that which you receive from him. Saturn-Venus conjunction. The stress Saturn is on building and maintaining relationships, which is Venus. The native is constantly trying to see that his or her relationship is intact. And generally natives with this conjunction never have to face breakups unless Venus is afflicted in the chart. Good merchants and great entrepreneurs are born with this conjunction, because you all must realize that a business grows only when you have the art of connecting with people. Natives with this conjunction are born with this art of connecting. Wealth is built by expanding your network and connecting with the right people. They understand the fact that your network is your net worth. In fact, we all have been through different ages. First came the computer age, than the internet age, and now we all breathe in a networking age. And so this is a perfect age for natives having this conjunction, for they know how to connect and with whom to connect. Networking is an investment in your business. It takes time, and when done correctly can yield great results for years to come. The next conjunction, Saturn Moon. The mind, that is moon, is always under the stress, that is Saturn, of attaining certain goal. The man or woman with this conjunction is on a certain mission. If the horoscope is of an evolved soul, then many great saints and masters are born with this conjunction. However, in an ordinary horoscope, the native face many depressions and frustrations in life. This conjunction can work wonders if the native is set on a certain mission. They need some goal, some purpose. Only then they find happiness in life. To evolved souls having this conjunction, to such men and women, life is a mission and not a career. They believe that life is not just to satisfy one's desire, but has a higher purpose which they must find and achieve. Although each individual in this vast human world is searching the purpose of life, it is necessary to realize that the most basic purpose of human life is to be happy. The purpose of our lives is to be happy. Always remember this. Saturn Sun conjunction. The constant stress is on the self, the Sun. Either the person can become a great leader or an utterly self-centered person. Depends on the nature of the horoscope and the level of the soul. In an evolved soul's horoscope, such a conjunction can make him a great fighter, a person who never give up. Whereas in an ordinary soul's horoscope, this conjunction can bring many failures and frustrations to the native. There is a lot of stress on taking action to attain freedom, independence. Our great freedom fighter Swatantra Veer Savarkar had this conjunction, and the story of his life is simply fascinating. Probably 1 in a million is born with the spirit of Veer Savarkar, the man who was openly appreciated by Mahatma Gandhi. Hardship, that is Saturn, to the individual, that is Sun, is a trademark of this conjunction. But the native also receives immense strength to fight back the adversities of life and emerges victorious in the end. My father had this conjunction. He came to Mumbai with just 10 rupees in his pocket, and he had never been to college, and yet he attained the peak of fame during his career as a journalist and novelist. And he went on writing scripts for over a dozen television serials during the early 1990s. He was also offered the post of editor-in-chief of the newspaper Samna by Balasaheb Thackeray, but he wasn't able to take it due to certain prior commitments. Saturn-Sun conjunction does bring a great stamina and strength to fight back. They simply never give up. Never give up, because real things take time. Saturn-Ketu conjunction. The constant stress is on breaking the boundaries and experiencing the ultimate freedom. A great placement for a man or woman who wants to renounce and follow the path of Buddha. Many sannyasis are born with this conjunction. However, in the material world, this conjunction is not able to give any positive results. Unhappiness and dissatisfaction is a trademark of this conjunction. However, for spiritual path, this conjunction is apt and positive. The person just wants to break all the restrictions, Saturn, and experience freedom. He just dislikes all kind of rules. Marriage is like an alien thing for such natives because marriage brings bondage and they just don't like any kind of bondage. They like to have sex outside marriage bondage. They love to have relationship that puts no pressure of marriage. Bondage, Saturn, is something that Ketu dislikes. However, the material world operates on the basis of certain traditions, rituals, parampara, which Ketu simply can't relate with. Saturn-Ketu conjunction is a marriage between a politician and a sannyasi. They can never be good friends because the politician wants to accumulate as much as he can, and a sannyasi, a monk, simply wants to give away all that he has. Both are walking on opposite directions. The meeting can never happen, and if it happens in the form of conjunction, then confusion is bound to emerge, leaving the native with no idea of what to do and where to go. This is natural, but through this confusion, you start thinking, introspecting, and this introspection eventually leads you to the answers that you seek. So, my fellows, confusion is not bad at all. Willingness to change is a strength, even if it means plunging part of the company into total confusion for a while. The next, Saturn-Mercury conjunction. The constant stress is on communicating with certain protocols, discipline. Typical spokesperson of government, diplomats, ambassadors to foreign countries have such conjunctions, since the whole stress on communicating by practicing certain diplomacy. Shrewdness comes in the native's dealings with others. This conjunction can bring a certain dryness within the native. The native becomes too practical and calculative and often goes on missing love. They may earn well, but they remain utterly poor in the matters of love. The greatest poverty of all is the absence of love. Conjunction is a marriage between two energies. If the energies are in sync, then you see wonderful results, and if not, then you face many miseries. By the way, marriage matchmaking is not just limited to the Gunamilan or matchmaking point score. It has more to do with the nakshatra. Soon I will share much more on marriage matchmaking in an extensive series titled Why Marriage is Not Made in Heaven. Nobody has gone to heaven to find out if marriages are made in heaven. And still, like an idiot, they go on saying marriages are made in heaven. What kind of fools we are dealing with, my fellows? But that's how the society is. Fake. Utterly fake. Saturn brings stress, but Mohan asked a very interesting question. Mohan asked, why stress comes at the first place? The answer is because you are not happy with what you are, with what you have. You are in constant race, a race of reaching somewhere. You think that once you reach the spot where you wish to be, you will be happy. But the moment you reach that spot, you realize there is one more spot, much greater spot to be achieved, and so on and so on and so on. And you never stop, you never rest until you are dead and buried. And then people place a plate on your graveyard that says, "Rest in peace, RIP." Now, what kind of joke is this, my fellows? What kind of irony is this? When the man was alive, he never was able to rest in peace. And so, how will he rest in peace when he is dead? Impossible. And so, then such men and women become ghosts. In Indian context, there is a wonderful word for such ghosts. It is Pretatma, meaning a deadly soul. Always remember, stress comes because of tension, and tension comes because of your big fat ego. The ego lives in the tension between what you are and what you want to be. Drop the ego of reaching somewhere and you will instantly become stress free. That's what Diogenes was saying to Alexander the Great. Alexander had gone to meet Diogenes, a great divine master, and Diogenes used to roam naked. And Alexander was an emperor. He goes and he finds Diogenes enjoying his bath in the warm river water. Alexander says, "Master, I have come to meet you, to experience your omnipresence." Diogenes is taking bath and he says, "Why don't you join me in this river? Why don't you give up everything and just relax with me in this river? Look, the river bank is so vast. Come, join me." But Alexander says, "I cannot, because still I have to conquer many kingdoms and many countries. I will join you when I become the conqueror of the whole world. I will then come back." Diogenes said, "Remember, nobody can come back unless one is aware. And if you are aware right this moment, the journey stops. If you are not aware, you will never come back." And Alexander never could go back. He died before he reached back home. And that is how the story is of all Alexanders of this human world. That is how the story is of all ambitious people of this human world. They never come back unless they become aware. Alexander's last words were, "All is vanity." At least he was able to realize this truth. But there are many Alexanders in this human world who never realize the truth. They continue to run the way a horse runs in a race. It is said that when Alexander stood before the great master Diogenes, he asked the master, "Tell me what you want, and I will give whatsoever you want." And Diogenes raised his hand and said, "All I want is the rays of the sun, and you are standing between me and the sun. Just move away, and remember, never come between because you seem to be dangerous. Never stand between the sun and anybody else. Don't disturb anybody else's life. That's enough. Nothing else do I want from you, because all that I want is within me." Alexander was taken aback. Never in his life had he heard anybody having so much courage to speak with him in such a way, because he was an emperor. He realized that he is standing before a real master. He was in tears, but Diogenes said nothing, and Alexander had to return with a heavy heart. The real master is not a cat, he is a lion. He never fears because he has nothing to lose. He has attained that which your money cannot. You may not like him, but that's your perception. Perception matters. You may not like someone, however, that doesn't mean the person is bad. It is based on your level of awareness and understanding that you like or dislike a person. Your like or dislike won't change the person. He remains happy in his own bliss. Enough for today. Love to all my followers and readers. Stay blessed. And remember, this world had many Alexanders, but very few Diogenes. And I would love to see you all becoming Diogenes and not Alexander the Great. Life always gives you a choice. Your future is based on the choices you make now. And so it is necessary to make the right choices by bringing more awareness to your being, by turning inwards and embarking on the most beautiful journey, the journey within. The only journey is the one within. Meditate every day. Life is short. Use it for attaining the higher purpose of life. And there is no purpose as higher than the purpose of realizing yourself. And so sit down, close your eyes, relax, and start meditating. Om Namah Shivaya. Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Sri Ganesha. Jai Guru.